stop. Before you buy anything on Black Friday sales or Cyber Monday sales, let's do some talking. Hey, Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene. And before you get deep into retail therapy for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we really want to talk about smart preparedness and not purchasing things out of fear and the right way to go about this. So don't buy anything yet. Let's talk.
Our philosophy is we want peace of mind. We don't want panic. Sales are great opportunities if it's something that you really need. If it's not something you really need, as my dad used to say, I can't afford to have you save any more money.
So the first thing we'd like to do is we want to challenge you to take an inventory of what you have and a real assessment of the things that you really need. Because we're not at a time in life where we can just be frivolous with our money. You know, our economy, we don't know what's going to happen with it. And so the resources that we have right now are really precious. And you could use this opportunity of this time of year where there's all kinds of sales and we're giving gifts for Christmas and things like that. You could use it as a powerful opportunity to become better prepared and help those that you love become better prepared. But it all starts with taking a personal inventory. What is it you have? What is it you really need? And when we talk about really need, okay, chocolate is actually on my really need. I just want you to know it's on my really need. But what things do we really need? We need to cover the basics. We need water, food, shelter and warmth, right? Fuel, which would encompass power and light, and then safety and security. Those are the basics that we need for survival. And so until we have all of those covered, that's where we need to focus our priorities.
And we're going to take 4 steps. We're going to assess, we're going to prioritize, we're going to budget, and then we're going to watch for the killer deals.
We're going to walk you through each one of these basic categories, some of the things that we feel are important for us and for our family. Take it for what it's worth. But remember, retail therapy really isn't therapy. Now, chocolate therapy, I think that's closer to real therapy.
Let's jump into water. Water is an absolutely critical resource for anyone. How do we get there?
Okay, so in some of our videos, we've introduced you to Rockwell water, and those are fantastic tanks. They are quality, high-end. If you don't have the financial resources for that, it doesn't need to stop you from having water, because even if you go to your local grocery store and get a gallon of water, like the Arrowhead that's in a hard container, don't get it in milk jugs, you can collect some of the water that you need. One of the other things that's really important is to have some quality water filters. Just know what the water filter is doing. But right now on Amazon, there is a Prime Day special, and one of the water straws is half off. And so instead of spending 20 bucks, you can get it for 10. Sometimes that might be a really good idea, but be really careful what you're buying, that you know what it's going to do. Another idea, this is actually my emergency evacuation kit, even just plain water bottles or water bottles with a filter. Some of those can be a really good idea. The goal is to have stored water and to have a way to gather water and make it safe to drink. In fact, we've got a whole video on making water safe to drink. I'll link it so that you can do that. But that is number 1. Are you prepared in that area? Or should you take some of your resources and get prepared in that area?
The second item is food. And we all love food and we all need food. Food is an awesome thing to have, both in storage and our ability to grow our own.
Chocolate. Chocolate is a great thing to have in storage. Okay, so when it comes to some of the things that we could take advantage on these sales, there's definitely long-term food storage, but let's talk about just basic food that you can get at the market, like a case of canned corn. It's interesting because one of my favorite childhood memories, growing up, we did not have a lot of money at all. But one Christmas, what my parents decided to do is to take us all to a place that only sold cases of foods. And each one of us got to pick a case of our favorite food. And that was our Christmas. And for us kids, it was so exciting because we didn't usually get to have any fun food. But think about what a case of some kind of food could mean to somebody that you love, whether it's just to stock up or because they're having a hard time. So don't overlook some of the simplest things that you can do to bless others. And when you're thinking about your neighbor gifts, same thing. What inexpensive neighbor gift could you give that has a preparedness twist to it and could help them become better prepared? A really important thing is to consider how you are going to cook your long-term food storage. Now, we love Instant Pots. This is one that we recently added, this smaller size, because sometimes it's just John and I, and John loves beans.
I do love beans.
So many
and I
beans.
love this because I can run this on almost any power station that I have. So it's our backup for cooking with this. It just works really well. It's very, very efficient. And of course, pressure cooking is just a great way to go, whether it's this or a standard pressure cooker. Such a good way to be able to cook efficiently.
Yeah, pressure cooking saves a lot of energy, and any beans, if you have any beans, no matter how old they are, it's been my experience that using a pressure cooker will soften them right up. One of the other things we wanted to share with you is something called a Vesta. And this is one of our very favorite cooking devices because it uses little cans of safe heat. And it can cook indoors just with the safe heat, or this little device put on top is an alternative heater, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Also with the food comes preserving your own food, right? 4 jars. Okay, if I got some lids for Christmas, I would be super happy. One of the things that 4 jars has that I absolutely love being a canner are these metal funnels. They are designed by a canner, and they're stainless steel. It's even got this little strainer that goes in it. There's a narrow mouth and a wide mouth. It stacks up really nice. I'm a huge fan of that. Now, what gardener doesn't want more gardening gloves? A year's supply of gardening gloves would be a great Christmas gift. Now, this is a hint for Jonathan. My pruners have seen better days.
They've served well and long.
I even soaked them in vinegar, and they're not happy. So something on my Christmas list, I'm just saying. One other thing that would be really important, whether you're a crazy gardener like me or not, are garden seeds. Now, for me, I love going and buying all of the specialty seeds, right? And now is a good time of year to start stocking up on them. But if you just want something to buy and put away in case something happens so that you have them all, this is a great idea from Survival Garden Seed. This is how I store my seeds. And so if you love somebody and they need a place to store and organize their seeds, it was designed for photos, right? And so this would be a great idea. And I don't think they're very expensive, like 20 bucks or something. So that's a really good type of Christmas present that would be a great prepping present along the food category. Now remember, we don't want to buy stuff just because. You don't want to get this unless you're a crazy gardener and have a lot of seeds like me. But being able to produce our own food or have food stored is huge.
And let's not forget the can openers. Can openers are pretty critical when we're trying to get into the food that we want. One of our viewers suggested these little, I call them military can openers, but you can get these, they're very cheap. They can fit right under a lid. And there you go. And whatever can opener you like.
And quite frankly, not just one. You need like
Several.
3 or 4. In fact, when my son came to visit us last, he used one of my can openers and he's like, "Mom, this is a piece of crap." And he ordered me a new one that was delivered the next day so that the rest of his trip here, he had a decent can opener. I thought my can opener worked fine, but he found one that worked better. So there we go. Great presents, right? If your mom has a lousy can opener, it's a great stocking stuffer. The third is shelter and warmth. And this one is huge for me because in our experiment where we turned off our power just to see if we could survive in January, right? Oh, I never want to be that cold again. And so we do a lot of things to make sure that I'm never that cold again.
Right.
Like a really good sleeping bag that's rated for your climate. Now, how about presents like this? Like this was hand knitted for me by my little daughter, Christy. She's so adorable. And every time I wear this, I feel so warm, but I also feel loved. Now, my daughter-in-law, this is one of the hats that she makes in her little online Etsy business that I bought from her to support the business. And it's a great thing for winter warmth, right? And also, now, think about it. What's the status of your clothing, your winter clothing? Now is a really good time when there's all these sales to stock up if you need something warmer. We want to make sure that we can stay warm without any exterior heat or anything else to survive. Now, in that little experiment that we did when we turned out the power, this is one of the things that we found to be invaluable.
Just a tent, creating a microenvironment that will actually keep everyone warmer than being out in the open. So great thing. You don't have to get a super expensive tent for it to do its job extremely well.
It's crazy how well it works. In the experiment, like we put our kids to bed. They were actually small at that time, but there were 2 little girls and 2 little boys. And we put the boys in one little pup tent that we've gotten on clearance at Walmart for 15 bucks. And in the middle of the night when I went out to check on them because I was so afraid, I unzipped the tent and this whoosh of hot air hit me and they were sleeping on top of their sleeping bags. They were so toasty. You can have that with a tent. Maybe you're grandma and you want to get creative. Do you want to make your grandkids a little teepee kind of tent? Something, because all of that works, right? So think of anything that you can do to create a microenvironment and have the resources or supplies that you need to do to make it.
Now let's talk about active heating devices. Things like
buddy heater.
Yes.
I love my buddy heater actually because it can go with me anywhere and just keep me warm.
And in our little grid down experiment, that was what saved her sanity, I think, is the ability to have this. It's a safe indoor unit that just can keep you warm wherever you are. And we also have the Vesta again, and this time you're using the heating unit on top, which has a Peltier device that runs the fan. So you don't need any batteries or anything. It just does its job. The heat runs that fan. It blows it out through these fins and just gives enough air movement that you can stay warm and not have to have anything other than just your safe heat.
My little device.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna warm the entire room, but it's a little space heater. And if you're sitting by it and that warm air is blowing on you, it feels amazing. So maybe you already have one of these, but I think the best place to buy the safe heat is actually at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
It's so much less expensive. Last time I checked, it was about 20 bucks for a flat that had 12 cans. It's a lot more than that if you buy it online, but make sure that you're burning the right fuel. Those cans, well, they have 2. They have 2-hour cans, which don't buy, and then they have 6-hour cans. So think about it. That one flat has 72 hours of burn time. One of the nice things about this is that you can use, when you're cooking, between 1 and 3 cans. If you're only using 1 can of safe heat, it never brings it to a rolling boil. It just kind of like the little bubbles, and it takes a long time. But if you've got 2, it works. If you've got 3, it works really fast. Right. So even just buying somebody an extra case of the safe heat, what a great thing for them to have. And you know, nothing says I love you like safe heat and keeping somebody warm.
Yep, yep. Our 4th area is fuel, power, and light. We're going to kick this off with portable power stations. Now,
because his favorite.
Oh, they are. I think portable power stations are one of the greatest things that's ever happened for preppers because it gives us the ability to have portable power when we need it. Now, some of these units are getting so big they're not as portable as they used to be, but you know, they have
a lot more power.
They have lots of
Yeah.
ability to store lots of energy for things that you need, especially if you have medical equipment or other critical loads. These are just an amazing way to go, and the solar panels to go with them. You can either get the flexible ones that come that fold. They're nice in some ways. I like the hard frame ones, but whatever you like as far as solar panels, get those so that you can charge this in a critical situation.
And I'll leave a link to a video that John created on this where he just geeks out and he talks all about it and simplifies it. But right now, there are some really good sales on power stations.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that the power stations that you're getting are quality.
And they're going to meet your needs.
And they're going to meet your needs because it's really important. If you're counting on it powering your CPAP machine or your oxygen concentrator and it doesn't, then you're in a world of hurt. So we want to make sure that you select the one that is right for your needs.
I just wanted to add here, these have gotten less expensive. They've gotten better with longer warranties. I mean, there's just so many good options out there. Pick the one that works for you, that you can get a good deal on, and probably stay with reputable brands, but they've just become such a wonderful thing to have.
For me, light is huge. On that experiment where we turned off our power in January, my original plan had been to use mostly candles or the lanterns. But the thing is, they all take flame, they all take fire. And we had a whole bunch of little kids. And even I am fascinated by fire. It turns out that it wasn't really safe because every time I turned my back, the kids were sticking something in the fire and it created a whole nother issue. The other issue with candles is I love scented candles, but if you burn very many of those in a space, it can be really overwhelming with all the scents and all of that. So that's no longer, I still have candles, but it's no longer part of our emergency plan because we love hybrid lights. This is totally our plan. We have given hybrid lights a couple years for Christmas for our kids.
Yes.
And one year we gave them, this is actually my favorite. I think it's called the Mammoth, if I remember right.
Yep.
But there's a whole bunch of reasons why I like this one. Mostly the magnetic part on the bottom. There's a magnet and so you can use the magnet and it'll just stick to something, right? Or you can hook it. So like when I'm working under my desk on all those tangled cords and things, I've got a really good light that I can use. But this was the one I have in my 72-hour kit or one like it because it folds down and then it folds back up. And so I really like that. Check out hybrid light because it's renewable. Oh, the other thing about them is they've got little ports where you can charge your cell phone. So you're using the same solar panel that recharges the light to charge your cell phone. Now you could charge cell phones on any of these big guys, but this is really nice because I know that I will always have light and that I will have the ability to charge some small device like a cell phone just with my hybrid light. So we'll leave a promo code for these. By far my favorite because they're so dependable and the light is so incredibly bright.
And finally, something like a generator. If you're going to get a generator, I'd encourage you to get a good inverter generator. They're just so much better. They're quieter, they're more efficient, and they put out a nice clean sine wave, which is good for your electronics. Some of the other generators can fry some of the current electronics now. So get a good generator and have the fuel to be able to operate that.
And store the fuel safely. 500 gallons of gasoline in your garage is not safely. There was a couple who died because they needed their medical equipment and they'd run a cord out to their garage. And just that little space was enough when the generator was running in the garage to bring carbon monoxide in here and to kill them both. So we don't want any of that happening. You've got to be careful. I think that's one of the reasons why I love like these, because you don't have a carbon monoxide risk. I love these. There's no carbon monoxide. There's no fire risk. And generators are powerful, and there's a lot of reasons why you should have those. Just be careful. Know how to use them safely and use them safely. Our final category is safety and security. Actually, that one should have been first. Anyway, safety and security is incredibly important. And there's all kinds of different things that fall into this category. But one of them would be first aid kits. We recently reviewed these Jace aid kits. They're fantastic. They're very much high end. If they fit in your budget, great, I would recommend them. If they don't fit in your budget, what first aid supplies do you need to stock up on and make sure that you have available? Who in your family needs a really good first aid kit to help them to be more prepared? Now, another thing, okay, I think it was last year, John's mom gave all of the grandkids, the adult grandkids, these fire blankets. I thought that was a great idea because now they, in their kitchens or in their homes, they have these fire blankets ready so that if they have an issue, they've got it. And so I thought that was a really thoughtful gift. And any brand, I don't think this is the brand she got, but this is the brand that we already had. A fire extinguisher. Great idea. We have ours in a fire cabinet. Well, we have several of them because of who I am. But we have one right here in the kitchen, we have one in the garage, and we have one downstairs, and they're all in these cabinets in the wall so that we know where they are. And actually with them, we have the fire blankets and we have the first aid kits. We have the special first aid kits in there so that we're not fumbling. We know where to go to get all of that kind of stuff. The other thing that would make great Christmas presents are self-defense supplies. Now, there's all kinds of different self-defense equipment.
Yeah.
And we just encourage you to get the right one for you and your needs, or for your loved one and what they like to use for self-defense.
And now let's talk just a little bit about communications. And again, we're talking about two-way communications, but we're also talking about having a good AM/FM radio with a weather band. And speaking of that, Midland has just come out with a really good one. It acts also as a power bank. It's got a lot of storage in there for charging phones and things like that again. And things like GMRS radios, whatever you need to communicate with other people and to get information. Awesome idea, great gifts.
So we've gone over some things that we think are really important, and they are right for us. They may not be right for you and your needs or your budget. Please stay in your budget. Remember, preparedness is a journey, not a destination. It's okay to start small and just continually build and become better and better prepared every day. The biggest message I think that we want to leave with you today is don't be motivated by fear. Don't let some crazy marketing convince you that if you don't have a certain gadget, you're gonna die, because you're not. It takes common sense. You've got to cover these basic areas in a way that is appropriate for you. Make sure you take that inventory so that you know what you already have and realistically the things that you need.
Now for the question of the day. You're going to go from this video to a little bit of assessment, prioritizing, budgeting, and watching for deals. What is it that you're looking for this year? Let's drop it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's share some ideas. We'll all benefit from that. Thanks for being part of the solution.